Let me kick this off. Welcome to the non-North American open mic, everybody. We do this call because MSPs asked what was new with the platform, what bugs we fixed, and you folks wanted to do a little R&D or rob and duplicate of automation ideas from your peers. Um, Only reminder that I've got for you folks is Flow. We've got Flow coming up in June. If you haven't been to a Flow, we've already got twice the number of registrants at this point this year than we did last year. So it looks like it's going to be a really good event. And it's only automation people coming to talk about automation. Um, I'm reading the chat while I'm talking and it's distracting me. Another announcement, and I announced this on the US open mic several weeks back, that Roost had a reduction in force. I just wanted to give you folks a couple of reminders. I think there was one post that said Roost let a whole bunch of good people go. And I agree with them. They were all a bunch of really good folks. Everyone at Roost is a bunch of good folks. Um, but just for some reassurance for you, Roost is still over 100 employees. The largest team at Roost is the rock/support plus our automation specialist plus CS. All of those folks are the folks that help you. And it's still the largest group of folks here. Um, we did this due to a budgeting. I didn't do the budget correct. And because of my mistake, others have to pay the price. And with that, uh, any questions for the group that you want me to answer about the reduction in force?
Um, One I've got is just if we have a rough time frame as our account manager was let go, just when our new account manager would roughly contact us, if at all.
Let George, can you take that info back and have someone reach out to Lyndon?
Yep, will do.
I think there was an email out, but it was just kind of saying that our account manager had been let go and someone had reached out at some point. That was on the 20th from Jen Miller, but customer success, right, working through the process. Yeah, that was on the 20th, just saying follow up as soon as your new customer success team member has been assigned. So it was just if there's any rough idea of when that would be.
George will go get the details for you.
Yep.
I think Lewis just put in the chat there, allocation is
Okay.
still being figured out, so not a problem.
Okay. But yeah, in the meantime, feel free to just, if you have questions, drop them in your Discord.
Yeah.
We still have folks monitoring your Discord for questions.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, and as Lewis said in the chat there as well, Lyndon, if there's anything else that you need with any urgency, you can email Lewis directly in your time zone, or feel free to ping me as well. Happy
Yeah, not a problem.
to help however we can.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely not a problem. Thank you all.
What other questions do you folks have? And you can ask me anything. It doesn't just have to be. I'm here on your open mic. All right. I'm on Discord. Uh, if you ever want to ping me directly, feel free to do so. I'm going to drop my email address here in the chat, and if you want to email me, if you want to talk one-on-one, feel free to email me. And I'd be happy to jump on a call with you folks. And Daniel with an A will drop my home phone. All right, I'm going to go off video, let you folks have your open mic.
Thanks so much, Aaron.
Thank you.
Alrighty, yeah, look out for that home number coming to a chat near you. I was learning actually all about Aaron's Tesla roof last night. I didn't even know you could get Tesla roofs. So that was pretty cool. Okay, we're gonna jump into some updates. So Daniel, over to you. I know product has been doing a lot over the winter so far. So a few things to get through and a few exciting announcements of things that are coming our way soon as well.
It's true. The winters are long and cold in Winnipeg, and we have nothing better to do than work on Roost. So a few things that we've been up to over the last month. We have a new integration in ConnectWise ASIO, and I'll show that shortly. So ConnectWise ASIO is one of their new product offerings. They have, or I guess it's not that new, but they have been migrating a lot of people over to this platform. And we have some, we've already, I believe, added this to some of our crates so you can run scripts on devices that are using ASIO. We are piloting a new item that is guided onboarding. So for those of you who remember the onboarding experience, it was very human oriented. We still want to keep that human contact during the onboarding experience with Roost, but we want to give you a bit more guidance within the app so you can actually take care of some of the maybe the more trivial tasks on your own and save those that valuable human time for some of the more I guess detailed questions or more difficult questions that you have. A couple things that are coming soon. We have webhook rate limiting that we're doing some analysis still on that I wanted to just notify everybody about. And then we have RoboRewsty built workflows that we're actually testing in production right now to get ready for rolling that out. Hopefully at the start of March, it's looking like. But we're doing a lot of testing internally. And if there's a bit of time, maybe I can try to start a workflow running and share some updates in the thread as we go through other demos and updates. Just as an overview to this, one thing that was pretty cool over the month of January, we've been doing a ton of work on improving things, and we have a ton more coming on improving things around platform stability and reliability. And bug fixing and all this stuff. So we actually had 46 releases in the month of January. So over one release per day on average. And a lot of that stuff was oriented towards some of the big projects that we have coming up. We're doing things like right now for each task that is run, we have to read from we have to write to the database and read from the database. And we read and write these massive context objects in and out of the database every single task transition. And we run like probably about 1.5 to 1.7 billion tasks every month. So we've been doing some work on creating more efficiencies around that. So what we're doing is we're doing what's called database dehydration, where we're actually taking these massive pieces of context and we can write them to more efficient places than a Postgres database, and we can just point to that location where the context is located. We're doing things like I mentioned, webhook rate limiting. We have these large pieces of context. They can sometimes cause memory errors because they're just so huge. And we're taking a look at stuff like that. But with that said, I just wanted to kind of congratulate the engineering team on 46 releases. I think we released something like 200 bug fixes and a couple dozen features over the course of the month. So with that, I'm going to jump into just show you some stuff. So here I have my ConnectWise home portal. I can click in and launch ASIO. And once that loads for me here, I can, let's go into here. You can see that if you go into your integrations from your ASIO dashboard, you can go to API access, and that is where you would generate your API token. From there, you just plug that directly into the parameters here where you have your API key and client ID. And from there, you're good to start to create some workflows. So this is just a general test workflow for this integration. So you can see I have list computers action. I've got some generic requests that actually do exactly what the same thing as what these built-in actions do. So list scripts, list shell scripts, and schedule task. So you can see here I've done a get to the scripts endpoint there. I've done a get to shell scripts, and I've done a schedule task. And if I scroll a little bit further down here, I can see that what I'm asking it to do is run a PowerShell script, and that PowerShell script is sending a webhook to this webhook URL, which I have connected to webhook site. So what's going to happen here is if I run this, I will see it's going to start to run here. And you should see, once it actually executes that script, you should see a little new method. Yeah, there you go. So you can see that my webhook site just received a webhook. And then as this keeps running, no, I didn't, James. You saw nothing. Yeah, so you can see here that at 9:12, I received a webhook here, and then shortly after I received the second one. So one was for the generic action and one was for the built-in action. I can just hop over to the execution here. And we'll take a look at this one. And yeah, you can see that I have a few endpoints or a few computers here. And yeah, there's not much more that I need to show on here. Yeah, I just leaked something without even thinking about it, but that is going to be connected with our RoboRewsty built workflows. So you can see that that's already in production and we're testing it. Essentially, the background of that is what we needed. I've already leaked it, so who cares? Basically, RoboRewsty needed to get context from the canvas, right? And somebody's going to be mad at me, but that's okay. Aaron does it all the time. So basically, what I can do is if I put a new line here, I see that I have a whole bunch of task context available to me. I have an alias here that's available to me. So if I click this, it will just add that alias directly in there for me. If the another thing to note is if the task has a output schema, I can actually dig right into there and see. I can go look and just add the entire. I can kind of drill down into that Jinja and add that client ID directly in here. So this, yeah, again, it's closely related to RoboRewsty because RoboRewsty needs to have this sort of contextual information, and this is just a visualization of the contextual information that RoboRewsty gets. Another thing that I'll show quickly is I mentioned that we have the in-app guided onboarding. So what I've done is I've created a new organization, and I'm running it. It's my first time logging in as an admin to this new organization. So first thing I am presenting it with first thing I'm presented with is a questionnaire. So this series of questions is going to help the app understand exactly what you're trying to build and present you with a list of steps to actually get your environment set up. So yes, I'm a managed service provider. Let's say I'm going to onboard 10 into Roost right now. I use Halo. I use, let's say, Ninja. Microsoft as my identity provider. Yes, I use the Microsoft Partner Center. My license provider might be PAX8. I use, let's say, Hudu for documentation. And what sort of tasks do I want to do? I want to do some billing reporting, maybe onboarding new users, and let's just do 2 for now. and kind of it presents me with a few crates that could potentially relate to my what I'm looking to do. So I'm going to select those two, billing count and user onboarding. And then, yeah, it just gives me a bit of an update on what I'm going to be looking at doing next. And from there, I'm finished my questionnaire. I can come back to it if I want to. I could also have skipped it if I wanted to. And it has presented me with a list of onboarding steps. So you can see it's kind of broken up into two. I have access to that guide that was presented to me on the last page of the questionnaire. But this is what I need to do to set up my organization. And then I also need to set up my crates. So it'll tell me, okay, I need to integrate with Halo PSA, tells me where I can go to install that. And then it lets me know that I need to do org mapping for that as well. So yeah, basically it's this is the first step toward towards a more product-led onboarding approach. Once again, we don't want to remove that human element from it because it's very valuable, and people do get a lot of extra information when working with our customer success and our automation engineers and everything like that. But the goal is there's a few more simple tasks that we don't really show in the UI right now. So maybe setting up the Halo integration is something that's relatively simple that you can do on your own, and then you can come to those onboarding meetings and really focus on getting that value more quickly and those more complicated steps. So that's all I think I have to show for today. But if there's any questions or anything like that, feel free to raise your hand or ask away, or just drop me something in the chat here. Back to you, Georgie boy.
Thanks so much, Daniel. Yeah, the just seeing if there's any questions, but that's pretty slick, that new onboarding question. I really like that. Not as much as I love you leaking stuff early on this call. I think but that's EU open mic. Like this is not the first time that that's happened. So because Pizza last year went full rogue and showed a bunch of stuff as well. So congratulations, folks. You're on the right call. Whenever you join EU open mic, there's probably maybe a 20% chance that you might see something you're not supposed to and get a head start on some stuff. So yeah, thanks for sharing, Daniel. Okay, next up, we have our marketplace updates. Our fellow Canadian, Jesse, is absent because he is now a dad. He had a baby. Not him, his partner did. But yeah, so he's off, not getting any sleep. So wishing him all the best. He'll be back soon enough. But in the meantime, we have Eric, who's going to step in and share some marketplace updates.
Thank you, George. Let me share my screen real quick. Let's see. All right, hopefully everybody can see that okay. We've also been busy across these cold months. We've had half a dozen new crates across December and January. Many of them security focused, as that's been a real area of interest lately, and so we wanted to make sure we support that. We also have one that is onboarding focused to mirror what Daniel just spoke about. We do our best to cooperate with him, and so we've got a crate around GDAP. We had a GDAP crate prior, but it's not as robust as the new one. The new one's going to do a much better job of highlighting whether or not GDAP has been set up appropriately when onboarding a new organization to Roost. So that's available to also sort of play a supporting role to those onboarding trackers that Daniel just showed. Additionally, Daniel, stealing all my thunder, talked about ConnectWise ASIO as well. That is one of the new updates that we added to existing crates. We've got over 50 updates, additions, and fixes in the past couple months. Yep, the GDAP one is now live. Yeah, I did have a weird situation where I was searching for it and it didn't show up, and then I searched again and it showed up. I'm not quite sure why. Daniel, I was going to raise that one to you. But so if you are having trouble finding it, please reach out to your CS person or directly to us, and we'll make sure we get you set up. In addition to that, we added Anthropic to one of our AI crates. We're seeing a lot of interest in our crates that use AI. There's another one we built recently around doing ticket analysis to help suggest what automations are most valuable. And for any of those, we want to make sure that you can use your sort of your AI tool of choice. And so we've added Anthropic to that one in particular. I'm not going to belabor too much on the details of the rest of these crates because we do have a demo as well. I'm going to pass it to Joe, one of our engineers, who's going to demo the remote local workstation passwords crate.
Welcome, Joe. This is Joe's kind of new. This is Joe's first EU open mic as well. We've been enjoying his friendly, gentle banter on Fridays. Joe, who is it that you remind everyone here who it is that your claim to fame as a doppelganger of which famous celebrity?
Yeah, I hope that after meeting me today, I'm everyone's new favorite Weasley. So feel free to generate any memes or whatever you'd like.
Noted.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks, George. With that, I am going to do a little more of a show and tell. I'm not going to tempt the demo gods with running it, but I will show you the results and walk you through the Rotate Local Workstation Passwords crate. So hopefully everyone can see that. And just a little bit about me, since it's my first EU open mic. I was a math and STEM middle school teacher for 10 years before getting into automation. About 5 years ago, I primarily worked with UiPath and just joined Roost, like George said, in December. So happy to be here. So going to go ahead and walk you through this one. Move that over. So first of all, this crate, why should you care about it? So from an MSP perspective, this is part of kind of a broader privileged access management set of crates. There's a few others. And like Eric says, is about security and some of the requests that we've had recently. So at its core, this crate solves the problem that if you have local admin accounts on a lot of workstations, you need to keep those passwords updated, and that's tedious and easy to fall behind on. And one of the main goals of automation is getting rid of all that tedious work so you can focus on what really uses your talents. So Microsoft does have a functionality that can do something similar to this crate, but this was a highly requested item for us to solve. So we built a crate option for it as well. So you can use, either one, but we'd love for you to use ours. At a high level, this is going to run a scheduled cron job. It's going to reach out to devices via your RMM, find local admin accounts that you specify, rotate the password, and then document the new credentials in your documentation portal. So the value here is pretty straightforward. If your admin passwords aren't rotated regularly, that's a security risk. And if they aren't documented, then when you urgently need that admin access, you could end up stuck without the credentials in a really tight spot. So I'm going to go into a little more detail about the crate now and kind of show you around. So first of all, as I mentioned, this is running on a cron job. We have it configured to run once on Friday, but this is totally up to you how you want to run it. You can do it daily, weekly, monthly, however stressed you are about making sure that those accounts passwords are changed. You can do that. This I really want to focus on here. We have a tech admin trigger variable here. So by default, this is the default. And so basically in running this workflow, if we don't find the username you specify, it's going to create a new local user using that username. And if it does find the user, it'll just rotate the password. So if you already have a standardized local admin naming convention, you're going to want to set this username accordingly. Because if you unpack this crate and run it for the first time and leave this default, you are probably going to end up with a tech admin user created across all your devices. So just make sure that you check that point and update it accordingly. So then, as you can see on each run, what this is going to do is first pull the list of workstation from your RMM. Inside this sub workflow, it's going to run a few validation checks. And then it's going to connect to each device, rotate the password right here. Then it's going to confirm that the change was successful. And then it's going to update in your documentation system. So we have IT Glue or Hudu. Zoom in a little bit because I'm sure that's tiny for you. Okay, and so then on the documentation side, it's going to create a credential asset if one doesn't exist yet. If one does exist, it's going to simply update the existing asset. So Paul D'Amico, who is kind of my guru here, created this crate and he ran it already. So I'm just going to show you. This is what it's going to look like in Hudu, for instance. And so if we click in there, this is that asset. And I'm not going to get in the habit of revealing things I shouldn't, so I'm not going to click that. So going to go ahead, go back over to the crate. So that's the output. And so you can see on that output, there's a username, password, etc. A couple more important implementation details that Paul wanted me to call out about this. So first, the way that we're finding these workstations is by MAC address. So this is avoiding a common issue where you might have multiple devices that share the same name or naming pattern, and that MAC address gives us a truly unique identifier. Second, if the workflow creates a brand new local user, you might not see it immediately in the way you're used to viewing users on the device. So you might have to adjust some local settings, how you're viewing counts to see certain admin users. So if you don't see it right away, that might be why. And finally, when that new user is created, the full name is set to like username dash local admin. So for instance, if you accidentally left that default as this, you have a bunch of tech admin dash local admins. So that's just helpful context when you're auditing accounts or reviewing what the automation created, so you know what you're expected to see. So that's pretty much it for this one. One more thing I wanted to just call out. This has been out for a while, but we also have like a user or account passwords crate that's up in for a while. So this is another one that pairs nicely with this if you just want to build a fuller password rotation strategy. And with that, I will turn it over to whoever's next.
Thanks so much, Joe. Super helpful. There was just one question. Kevin came in the chat. He is asking, what is the difference between the Rotate Account Passwords Crate and the Rotate Local Workstation Passwords? One for maybe yourself, Eric, or anyone else on the call that knows that.
Yeah, I believe that this one's just referring to admin ones, but I can get back to you, yeah, with a better answer from Paul. But
yeah, I think it's about the
Jack's got an ad.
Yeah, I think Jack's right. It's about the being a local account versus not.
Got it. Yeah. Cool. Good question, Kevin. Thank you for that. And thanks for that demo, Joe. And also for circling back to the GDAP crate. I know a lot of people are very interested in that. We demoed that one last week on Friday's open mic. So if you want to see what that looks like in detail, you can just head over to our YouTube channel and look at the 30th of January Friday open mic. You'll see in the description we have timestamps, and you can take a look there at that for more details and head away and get that unpacked and solve all of your GDAP problems. That's what everyone wants, right? Next up, we have education update with Clea.
Hey everyone, welcome to the first EU open mic of the year. In true European fashion, I do have some Pfannkuchen right next to me that I'll be eating right after this. I was born in Germany, so pancake breakfast coming up after your education updates, because you always need some brain food to keep learning. We have a lot of news, not all of which are showcased here on the simple slide, so I'm going to show you how to find some of the newest. I will share the link to our 2025 recap post. There's some student shout outs. I don't think Alexander Urbane is here today. I think he is a European attendee, but he was kind of a student of the year for us, taking a lot of courses, giving a lot of feedback, and there might be some other names on there that you'll recognize. So thanks to everyone for learning with us, and go check out this post right here in the chat incoming for a highlight of everything we did over the past year, including launching Cluck University. Who here remembers, raise your hand or share in the chat, when it was just a bunch of pages on our documentation site or some random YouTube links. Yep, Lyndon, you're one of the OGs. So we've certainly evolved, and any feedback from you or folks who have seen us through that change, always appreciated. I'm always tinkering in the back end of Cluck University to make some improvements. And so please keep the feedback coming. Another thing that I want to draw your attention to is we made some enhancements to our course catalog page. What is that? It is the page where you can search across all of our courses. And so any new courses we launch, any courses we update, those are all featured there. We used to have some, to me, kind of confusing tags. We had something called micro courses, but like, what is a micro course? Is it 5 seconds? Is it 5 hours? Who knows? And then for me, I'll always consider myself a Roost beginner. So we had these old labels of beginner, intermediate, advanced, but it was really hard to figure out what to tag as what. Instead, we're focusing around things that you want to focus on or things that you want to learn. So if you're brand new, check out the orientation and onboarding courses. If you want to learn some things about automation that are not necessarily unique to Roost, but essential to succeeding with automations, check out automation fundamentals, etc. So any feedback on that, always welcome, and we hope that you all find it easier to navigate. I'll also share a link to our newest training updates page. You can find every single weekly update page in our documentation site, but last Friday we launched 2 big courses, demystifying billing reconciliation and creating a workflow wrapper for the Microsoft user onboarding crate. Oops, I didn't mean to show that. It's a leak. So over the course of today and probably the next week, because we've got a lot of courses, you're going to see some cosmetic enhancements to the tiles that you see in Cluck University. Huge shout out to our marketing team, specifically Joe, for helping us refresh our look with some snazzy new course thumbnails. And as I mentioned, here I am on the homepage. You can find billing reconciliation right here in the new banner and how to simplify user onboarding with a custom form and a workflow wrapper. We got a lot of great input from 2 customers who are certified in Roost Foundations to help us improve the billing reconciliation course before it launched. And from our very own Linda Kraft, who has walked so many of you, or maybe your American counterparts, through, like, you want to use the Microsoft User Onboarding Crate, but you want it to work a little bit differently. Maybe you want your client to fill out the form. They're not going to know what the heck Entra ID security group means. So it teaches you the logic to make some translations behind the scene in a workflow wrapper tied to a custom form. And even if you don't care about that crate, I think it's worth checking out the course. It's less than an hour to complete. If you can spot the pattern that you do here, you can extend it to any other crate or, form simplification or customization. And as I mentioned, you can search all courses through the Home tab. That's also where you'll find a link to live training. And those new tags are right here. I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat in case anyone really wants to take either of those courses. Go search for it in the big search bar and then check it out. Because I've got a child who is leaking, like, she's got digestive issues and she's also got a lot of drool coming out of her mouth. Her molars are coming in. Shout out to future Jesse dad. Yeah, you'll never get sleep back again, but it's worth it because they're adorable little humans. I've got 2 more leaks. We are getting ready to beta test 2 brand new learning paths with certificates because, again, if anyone started with Roost Foundations, maybe it was easy for you, but it is not easy for a lot of us. And we want to make learning Roost more accessible to everyone. And we want to give you a pretty certificate that you can add to your LinkedIn profile, print on your fridge, etc. So right now internally, a few folks at Roost are going through our 3 courses, 2-ish hours or less or more, pace yourself, to earn a Roost Automation Fundamental Certificate. You'll notice that it does have 2 existing courses, Process Engineering, Impact Framework, that we recommend to everyone, especially if you are an automation project leader or champion who's not necessarily building, but you need to know what good building looks like. If you can even automate something, that's process engineering. And then impact framework to make sure that you can project and track your investment for building those things. Thank you for the whiskey suggestion. I will not be taking it on, but I appreciate it. I'd like to know how the Europeans roll here. So again, if you have taken these courses already, you're already partway through the path. It is just another less than 30-minute course. Once you take those courses, you will unlock your certificate. It'll be emailed to you. And this is not like Roost Foundations, where it's like the most difficult exam that you ever had in high school or grade school or whatever else the Europeans call it, primary school? I don't know. I'm American, sadly. I wish I was European or more European than I am. But to earn your certificate, all it is really giving us feedback about the courses so that we can make improvements for everyone and continue to improve things. Once you get past automation fundamentals, our new entry-level builder path is called Automation Builder Basics. Instead of building what you build in Roost Foundations, a workflow, a parent workflow, an option generator, using with items on a sub workflow, like it's a lot. Just start with Hello World. It's still my favorite course. It shows you how to build a form, attach it to a workflow, send yourself an email, maybe put some curse words in that email, maybe put get up and take a stretch break CLIA in that email. Have fun with it and learn Roost while you are doing that. Completion handlers, in our opinion, are a hidden secret in Roost. If you want to know what happens after an automation runs, if it succeeds, if it fails, if it times out, completion handlers are your key. And if you're going to be building anything, you also need to know how to troubleshoot. What's already running? What happened? Take those courses, earn your certificate, coming out by February 20th. So looking forward to release that to you all. And if anyone wants to be an early bird beta tester, reach out to me at the Cluck U email. I'll put it in the chat here.
Thanks so much, Clea. Yeah, wow, leak central over here. We got product leaks, we got education leaks, we got leaking toddlers. So good stuff all around. Clea, can I tag you to screen share for me? Would that be okay? I'm just on my little laptop and don't want to embarrass myself being on one screen and struggling with my slides. So I've just got a couple of quick fire things to share with you folks, and then we've got some demos from some people. So just in case you missed these are now on demand and available on our website. A couple of webinars from a few months ago. The AI Thinks Automation Acts is a really good conversation with Aaron and Mark over at Thread. And then another MSP partner of ours, just diving into, AI does this and it does this really well. This other stuff, not so much. Automation does this really well, and this stuff not so good. So a really good quick watch as well for anyone who's interested in learning more about that. But more importantly, I think those guys did a really good job explaining things in simple terms that you folks might be able to regurgitate or leverage in part of your conversations with clients, because we're seeing AI and automation used so interchangeably, but as you know here, they do very different things. The other one is with OneStream, the modernizing MSP support calls. I was super impressed with this, again, just seeing how fast things are moving with real-time live voice AI and some of the cool things that OneStream have been doing when someone calls through to an MSP. And it asks them a few questions and is already taking that information, finding tickets, syncing that person's account. So by the time the human comes on the phone, they're like, hey, Craig, I know you're calling from EasyPC. Is this about ticket XYZ? We've got the update here, and just rapidly speeding up how you're able to support and service your clients. So again, another cool one to check out. On the next slide, we have our upcoming stuff. So we've got some exciting things happening this month. We have next week a joint webinar with Enable and Infinity Solutions, where community member Doomhound on Discord, Andrew Nicholson, is going to be joining us, and it's looking at automations, yes, through the lens of Enable, but I think even if you're not using Enable, you'll be able to take a lot away from just kind of taking a step up and progressing in automations for all things RMM. So instead of building sort of singular or narrow focus automations, how do you build things in a flexible way so you can scale them, you can reuse them? So Clea's talked about some of the courses we have around wrappers, sub workflows, kind of tying that all together through an MSP story. So really excited for that. Then the week after, we have our first ever MSP Growth and Automation Forum. So this is a brand new call that we're doing quarterly. And whilst on these calls, which are technical, and Friday open mics that are very technical, we don't shy away from that. It's a technical call. If you're not a technical person, it might not be for you, but you're more than welcome to join and learn. What this call, the Growth and Automation Forum, is centered at is around more folks who want to talk about automation through a strategic or an operational lens. So if you're an MSP owner, if you are a manager or executive, or even if you're a technician, I was speaking with Gareth Smith a little bit about this actually, and he kind of summarized it quite well. These kind of conversations will enable you maybe as a builder to go from saying this automation is really cool to speaking in terms that your boss likes and understands as well. So ROI, time saving, here's how we're getting value, here's how we scale. So the first one is happening, as I said, later this month with February 18th. Tim Fournette is going to be joining us, and we're going to be walking through the Impact Framework, which is a framework that you guys can apply to your automations to actually get quantitative value delivery from it through story-based telling too. So highly recommend checking that out. I will drop the links in the chat for all of those in just a moment. I think that's it from me for slides, unless there's one more after this. Oh yes, I will also drop in our automation survey. So we are running our first ever state of automation survey. So we want to compile basically the thoughts of the channel to create a dedicated study on automation, what's working, where the challenges are, what people like, what they don't like, what they want to see in the next 6 months, 5 years, etc. So please take the time to fill that out. And then once you do complete that survey, you will actually get early access to the report itself to get those findings and kind of see where you fit in on some of the scales and questions that we'll be asking. 3 lucky people will also get some money too, so that's nice. That's US dollar, so yeah, get that in your back pocket. We've got $250, $500, and $1,000 available for 3 lucky participants. So I will drop those links in the chat shortly. Tax-free, yes, Craig, probably coming to you via a gift card of your preference. So maybe, or maybe just straight cash at Flow. I don't know. We'll see. Get paid in gold instead. Maybe. I don't know how much, $250 worth of gold would look like though, particularly with the market right now. But anyway, we're going to move on to our demos. I've got Matt here lined up who's got something he'd like to share. So Matt, going to hand it over to you, but maybe before we jump in, if you can just give a quick who you are, where you're from, what you've been doing, what you like to do in Roost.
Yeah, hiya. So I'm Matt Parkinson from Vinters. We're an MSP in Maidstone, Kent, southeast. So we've been using Roost, I think, since about May last year. Took us a little while to get going. Probably should have got into Cluck University sooner. That was definitely a game changer when I went back through it and realised all the things that had taken me a while to learn were covered in the university. So, but yeah, no, it's going well now, saving a lot of time and really starting to solve problems with it, really.
Love it. Yeah, never too late to go back to school. Go back to Cluck U and do some of those courses and help tie everything together. What is the workflow that you're showing us today? What's the kind of process that you've been fixing and how are you automating it in Roost?
So I'll bring it up just so it's there. I've closed all my other tabs just to try and avoid any leakage on my end. So, but we have a number of clients who are quite heavy on their SharePoint usage. Some of them will bolt the extra storage on, others won't and very much want to archive stuff off, move it around. But we were hitting probably a few times a month, people just exceeding their quotas. And there was no kind of easy way that we were aware of to just kind of pull that quota straight out. I think there are the email alerts it sends out when you're getting close, but they were quite often missed. So we went through this process to bring it straight into our ticket management system. There was one complexity in it, in that you can't query the quota and how much you've got left of it from the API. So instead, you have to go through kind of an awkward process of getting the base 1 terabyte per tenant and then working out which licenses add which amount of storage and computing it all together. So that's kind of what we created here in the workflow. So the very first step we have here is the one that we do the calculation with, which really just calls to the get subscribe products. And then based on that, we have a function here which basically takes the SKUs and works out which ones they are and how much storage they add. So the top bit here basically is times by 10, so it's 10 gig for these different licenses. You will notice there are a lot more licenses that you can have that give more storage, but these are the really ones that were just applicable to us. And then we also have this as well, which is the SharePoint add-on storage, so just the 1 gig at a time. So we take those up and we add that together, which gives you the multiple additional gigabytes on top of the 1 terabyte, and then we return that back to the main workflow here. The next step really then is to get how much you're consuming. So there's an endpoint available which gives you the SharePoint usage. I think the shortest period you can add here is 7 days, but it doesn't really matter too much because we only take the latest line that comes back in that anyway. When you run that, it generates a link to a CSV. Kindly doesn't just give it to you in the API response. So the next one is to then basically grab that location reference for the CSV, and then pulls it down, parses the CSV, and here we're really just taking the very last SharePoint consumption figure from that CSV. So I think if you open the CSV, it will have it. You'll have a row for every day for the last 7 days, but we only really need the latest. And then once we've got that, we do a comparison. So whether we've got it set here just to 95%, so over 95% or under 95%. If it's under, obviously we don't do anything. If it's over, we send it off to our, we have a custom ticket creation function here because we use dynamics rather than ones that are native in the box. So it might look slightly different to what you see in your own systems. And that basically just checks whether there's already a ticket for it, updates if it is. If it doesn't, it creates a new ticket and the guys pick it up and speak to the client around whether they want to add storage or whether they want to go through archiving. So fairly straightforward, probably more complex than it needed to be. Microsoft could have made it a lot simpler for us, but we are where we are. So yeah.
Nice. Thanks so much for sharing, Matt. Does anyone have any questions on that? I've got one just in general, Matt. Like, was there any learning? What was your biggest learning moment when building this? Anything that popped up like an aha that was cool to see?
I think the biggest thing, this was kind of, like I say, probably just before I went through Cluck University. So it was really, we had some help from The Rock with this particular function. I think it was that one. And that was Actually, sorry, one bit I missed of that, and I'll come back to in a second. Yeah, getting that to do the actual calculation was probably a tough part at the time. I think looking back now, we'd probably see that a lot easier, but this was fairly early on. But I say the bit I forgot to mention with this now I've opened up it. So these SKUs, there's actually a SharePoint, sorry, there's a page here which gives you the, is it off of that one or somewhere else? I think this one gives you the amount of storage per space, but there's something I posted on the Discord workflow forum, which was a link to the actual SKUs as well. I thought it was a download somewhere. It's like a CSV, and it gives you what the SKUs are and how much storage they add, because the names of them are slightly different. So you'll see there's a business underscore, which does everything, but then I think this SPB is maybe the older SKU for business premium. So
Cool. Tom, I see you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
First of all, thanks, Matt. This is actually really cool. We've been trying to work out how to deal with some SharePoint stuff within Roost as well. You should go back and check out the chat from when you started talking, because there was some hilarious disruption to start with. But my question is, on your main workflow, if you could just go back to that, I didn't capture what the name of the action was. On your get SharePoint storage action, is that just a rough request, like a custom the API request?
Here.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a custom one we put in. I can't remember.
It just goes and finds it from the reports endpoint. Because one of the things that we discussed internally is that Roost by default doesn't have any SharePoint actions. So we were just trying to work out how to deal with that on a like permissions kind of basis, which obviously isn't what you're trying to do. So I just wondered where that came from, but it just comes from the report endpoint. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, just a lot of people getting together in the chat there, Matt, about the Southeast Massive. So
that is exactly what happened. Yeah, we'll all go. It sounds like we're meeting Lewis and Tunbridge Wells for lunch.
Yeah, for lunch and tattoos. Sounds like
all right.
Well, keeping it in the Southeast, we have another demo. I think we should be able to squeeze in. Craig, is there enough time for you to show us what you were gonna show?
Hi, George. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
There should be enough time. So it's funny because I've done something similar to Matt. So hi everyone. I'm Craig from Easy PC. We're a professional services partner, and I posted something similar to what Matt had done on my LinkedIn, and I've had a few people interested to say, "Oh, I want that. Can you do this? Can you do this?" But I had a particular customer come to me who wanted to do something similar, and where I thought outside of the box slightly from doing it through using Microsoft Graph to get the same results from SharePoint statistics and getting Quota and information. Because as you know, Matt, that if you were to, when you use Graph to query the SharePoint data, they just give you what's being used, and they give you based on like 25 terabytes, which is completely useless information if you want to find out the percentage of what's actually being used. So obviously, when you sign up to Microsoft 365, everyone gets given 1 terabyte of space plus all of your licenses and users. Everyone gets like 10 gig based on your users, so that it increments over time. So CIPP, I don't know if you've heard of it, but most people have, especially over here and over in the US. Cyberdrain is they released the extension for Roost not so long ago. So I helped the customers integrate Cyberdrain into Roost, and then I come up with an idea, because when you sign into Cyberdrain, there's a massive when you click on the tenant, you can see the quota, and it's quite accurate per tenant. So as you go down per customer, you can actually see what's being used and what's not. So I thought I must be able to get that in the API, surely. So rather than doing Graph, what I did, let me just share my screen, was I built something similar to this. So obviously I did the integration for CIPP, and you can see obviously all the tasks down there. So what I had to do this time was list all of the tenants in Cyberdrain. I had to grab the And obviously I can't do this live, unfortunately, so I can't show you real data because this is on a customer site, so I can't, unfortunately. List the display name and the default domain name for all the tenants, and then I can process that with items and put that into a sub workflow where I can process each tenant and grab that information. So once I've done that, it goes into this. I then list the site that is in question for the space. I then after that, I then created a custom storage quota, which is on that dashboard, and basically did a custom API to list the storage quota and filter it based on the default domain name. And once I've got that, I then, for this particular customer, because he wanted it in a SQL database, I then added the time and then combined the data into a Ginger to then put into a SQL database. I create a database and update. If you notice as well that I did some of these retries as well, I've noticed sometimes when this runs, it can time out. So I produced this retry loop to, if it ever fails, to just go to the loop, wait for 2 minutes, and then retry and try it 10 times, and then go back to it, and then retry it. Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Also, sorry, I'm talking fast because I'm quite nervous. I don't really talk that much. When you go to the CyberDrain website to look at the APIs, not all the APIs are listed. So I was sort of frantically looking around. So how can I get that? I posted onto Roost, into the community, and just to ask how can I grab that? How can I get that information on the Quota side? They said to use developer tools in Chrome or Edge. I did a bit of that, a bit of mucking about to actually get the quota, because unfortunately on the CyberDrain website they don't actually list all the APIs. I actually Googled sort of the CIPP postman and found another community member who made a really nice postman request with all of the APIs that you can get, and I simply typed quota at the top, found list SharePoint data quota, looked at what the command would be, and then implemented it into that and tested it and got the data I wanted, did all the percentages, and it's live, using CyberDrain's integration, which I thought was really, really cool and saved me loads of headaches having to, it's like going to Graph, getting IDs, passing it through with CyberDrain. It was just like it's done.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a good idea, Craig. Like Googling that and finding all that stuff on Postman. I know that CIPP has a really big online community, a massive Discord following as well. There's definitely a lot of overlap in communities between us and them, and certainly folks over at CIPP like John and Kelvin are all in our Discord as well. So if it's something anyone here is interested in, yeah, take a peek. We also have our own CIPP channel under the Birds of a Feather category on Discord, where a lot of the focus conversation around Microsoft, around setting up CIPP using CyberDrain, lots of folks chatting in there. So yeah, check it out.
And then if anyone wants to reach out or wants to chat and wants to copy, just let me know. I'm more than happy to share it to make the community stronger. Definitely.
You too can join the Southeast Massive with a bunch of
Southeast Massive Dartford. Whoop whoop.
Well, thanks so much for sharing, Craig. Really appreciate it. If there's one thing I've learned on the call today, it's that you folks, our MSP partners, are much better Roost staff when it comes to data compliance and adhering to strict privacy protocols around proprietary information. So well done, you guys. That's it for, we've got 1 minute left, so we'll wrap it up. But yeah, obviously we're rolling into 26. We will see you guys again in